It is cruelty-free, fragrance-free, non-toxic.
Liza Koshy just announced her skincare line, their skincare, face masks and whatnot, and also some makeup as well. All of the products are cruelty-free, great, vegan, terrific, non-toxic,
Actually clean, EWG Verified, baby!
So let's talk about clean beauty. So much like natural and superfood in the food realm, clean beauty doesn't really have a meaning. It's very vague. It's not a legally protected term or defined term. Clean for one person or one company could be dirty for another person or another company, as Liza makes clear by saying that her stuff is actually clean. I'm guessing that this is a swipe at Sephora. Their clean at Sephora distinction, which is considered by many to be subpar. Many of the products they claim are actually clean are not, according to the Environmental Working Group and their Skin Deep database. For example, Sephora says that Milk's Kush lip glaze is clean, but the EWG gives it a 6 out of 10. One of one is EWG Verified and therefore actually clean. So what does EWG Verified mean? Well, according to the website, EWG Verified recognizes products that meet EWG's strictest standards for your health. This means none of EWG's chemicals of concern. This means full transparency. Our ultimate goal is for all products on the market to be free from harmful chemicals so that everyone's purchasing decisions can finally be stress-free. Basically, there are a few more rules than that, but the big one is that an EWG certified product cannot contain any of the items on their unacceptable list, which is pretty long. So let's take one of the dirty beauty ingredients that everybody knows about, parabens. Most of them are on this list for being endocrine disruptors, which could then possibly lead to cancer. That's the big concern. So scary, at least on the face of it, but once you learn more about their reasoning and the science behind this, much less scary. For one thing, parabens are really, really weak. According to this 1998 study on rats, the most potent paraben was still 10,000 times weaker than estradiol, one of the estrogen hormones that your own body produces. Also, the parabens were injected. They were injected under the rat's skin, so, not usually how we would use them. Another study you have probably heard of where researchers found parabens in human breast tumors has a number of issues. Number one, there wasn't a control, and also parabens were found in blank samples, and actually some of the blanks had more parabens than the actual samples. There hasn't been a replicated study to show that parabens cause endocrine disruption, especially at the dosage in your cosmetic products, in humans. And there hasn't been a study that concluded with significant evidence that these chemicals cause the above health issues. So we have small studies. We have studies that are in vitro or in vivo, but not in humans, but in animals. Huge doses, way more than we would actually use, and used in a way that we would not actually use it. So injected versus topically applied. Like I said, a lot less scary when you look at the actual science. And deciding whether or not to use a particular ingredient doesn't stop at the ingredient itself. You also have to consider whether or not the ingredient you're replacing it with is safe and effective. Parabens act primarily as preservatives, which you absolutely want in your cosmetics. Every time you open a product, it comes into contact with air, which contains microbes like bacteria, yeast, mold, and fungi that can land and start growing in your product, reaching dangerous levels even if the product still looks and smells fine. If you then apply the contaminated product to your skin, these microbes can cause infections like staph and can even lead to blindness if you get it in your eye. Y'all remember those moldy-ass lip balms? Preservative-free, baby. So there are various other preservatives, synthetic and natural, and they all have drawbacks just like any ingredient. Natural preservatives tend to be less effective, so more is needed. They also tend to be more allergenic, especially at higher concentrations, and again, you need to use more of them so that they're actually effective at preserving the product. Then there are synthetic options like phenoxyethanol or maybe natural. According to honest.com, it's a nature identical chemical. So like nature adjacent. These have not been around nearly as long as parabens. They aren't nearly as well studied as parabens, and we're seeing more and more cases of allergic reactions. So much for the concern about allergies. This is a general pattern. The scientific community identifies a group of chemicals, for example parabens, associated with potentially detrimental health effects. Word gets out, consumers want to avoid that group of chemicals, and companies respond by taking them out or replacing them with something untested and unfamiliar to consumers and the scientific community. They can then claim paraben-free on the bottle, but you still don't know what you're getting. So if we look specifically at Liza's products, you can see that many of them contain less effective acids, so natural preservatives, as well as the less studied phenoxyethanol. So it seems like these and other products like them are actually more likely to cause an allergic response than if they were just formulated with parabens. In fact, parabens were just named 2019's Non-Allergen of the Year by the American Contact Dermatitis Society. Now, to give credit where credit is due, most, clean beauty lists dump all parabens together. All parabens are not included. They're all the same. Whereas the EWG's unacceptable list doesn't include all parabens. It doesn't include the shorter chain methyl and ethyl parabens. Presumably, a product could contain these, at least, certain amounts of them, and still be EWG verified. But again, most clean beauty lists and companies say no parabens, period. So even if Liza, One of One or some other clean beauty brand wanted to include these shorter chain parabens, they'd probably get a lot of shit for doing so, right? They wouldn't be able to say paraben free on the product. People would wonder why, and they'd be blacklisted. Let's be real. If we go back to that Milk lip gloss that I mentioned earlier that got a 6 out of 10, the two biggest offenders, according to EWG, are fragrance and Blue One. Just like virtually any other ingredient, some people are sensitive to fragrances, so it makes sense to have products that are fragrance-free. But according to EWG, it doesn't stop there. They say that fragrances are endocrine disruptors. Why? Because of a few case reports that found early breast development in children using soaps and perfumes containing lavender oil. So all fragrance is categorized as endocrine disrupting, moderate hazard, based on case reports involving lavender only. Case reports are the lowest form, the lowest level of evidence. It's often where research starts. So a correlation is discovered in a few people. In this case, you see early breast development associated with the use of lavender, body products, soaps and whatnot, and growth subsides after these products are removed. And then based on those reports, actual science is done to try and find out the truth, to try and find out if there is indeed a link here. The point is, you do not make guidelines based on anecdotes. You don't rate ingredients based on anecdotes. And you certainly don't apply those guidelines to everyone when the evidence you're relying on is specific to one population, in this case, children. You also certainly don't apply those guidelines to every related ingredient when the evidence you're relying on is specific to one compound, lavender. How does any of this make sense? Anyway, the other concerning ingredient in this lip glaze, Blue One, notice anything weird? 2 to 7, depending on usage, based on zero data. So those were just a few examples of why clean beauty is just a marketing term and why whether or not a product is EWG verified really doesn't mean a whole lot. It certainly doesn't guarantee that a product is safer and healthier, as they claim. If you want way more info on the problems with clean beauty and parabens, I highly recommend the video Clean Beauty is Wrong and Won't Give Us Safer Products by Lab Muffin Beauty Science. She talks to an actual toxicologist. There is actual scientific discussion of, the difference between hazard and risk. It is so good. Also, you gotta love that the EWG makes money off of these dangerous products, all of these red, 7 to 10 level products. For instance, Clean and Clear Morning Burst Cleanser with a super scary red 7 of 10. It still has the shop with EWG on Amazon link right there towards the top of the page. And if you click on it, you'll see their affiliate ID in the URL. So that's cool. To wrap this up, I'm not even, blaming Liza. I think she is falling for the marketing just like the rest of us. I think she fully believes in her products and believes in clean beauty. Because how could you not? Endocrine disruptor? I don't know what that means, but it sounds scary. And clean beauty, you could not have picked a better buzzword. Like, part of me is impressed. It's so perfect. Like, who doesn't want clean beauty? Like, do you want dirty beauty? Of course not. I sure as shit don't want dirty beauty. And this is why we will continue to see companies pushing this unscientific crap. Companies that should know better, that do know better. It makes money and it will continue to make money until we as consumers learn a little bit more about skincare and about science in general and say no and stop buying these products and really prove to companies that no, we want products that are safe and effective, that we don't give a shit about clean beauty. Which is really hard if, like me, you buy cruelty-free products. It's hard to find a brand that's cruelty-free, especially cruelty-free and vegan, and doesn't promote clean beauty. I mean, does that even exist? Are there any brands? Maybe e.l.f.? Do they promote clean beauty? I don't know, man. Maybe that'll be a follow-up video. Maybe I will try to find a cruelty-free brand that doesn't cater to this shit. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, consider subscribing. I talk a lot about health stuff like this, veganism, obviously. And yeah, I like to debunk dumb health stuff, alt med stuff, clean beauty stuff, organic, non-GMO, all that garbage. So yeah, subscribe if you're interested. Click the bell or whatever. I always forget to say that, but click the bell. But you also can't just click the bell. You have to go into your settings and make sure that you have it like enabled. Otherwise, it won't actually work. If you click the bell, it's super fun. Anyway, thanks again, and I will have a new video very soon.